If you want to change your reality, you have to change the words you're using to describe your reality. Sometimes our lives really aren't that bad, but what we do is we make it worse than it really is when we want change. We make our job seem like it's really not okay, or we're being abused, when maybe it's just slightly unpleasant, but it's a temporary phase that we're going through. Or maybe we say the relationship we're in, the partner is horrible and they're not there for me, but really what's not satisfactory is that you haven't taken time to take care of yourself. So we have to really watch how we describe things in our mind. Of course, we have problems in our day-to-day life and we do need to make solutions. Having said that, you don't have to create a huge drama around it. You don't have to make it worse than it actually is. So how do you do that? How do you change the words that are in your mind? Well, I had an interesting event a few years ago. I'd been paralyzed shortly after my second vaccine, and then I decided to go and get a third. And you might wonder why I did that. Well, at the time, I needed that third vaccine to be able to participate in certain activities in society. So I decided to get the third vaccine so that I could leave the house and do things that I wanted to do. And I went to get that third vaccine. Suddenly, the images started flooding back of me being paralyzed. I even framed it in my mind that I was ready to do this and I thought it was okay. But then those subconscious memories of being in hospital, being in a lot of pain, not being able to move, not being able to sleep, started flooding back when I saw the vaccines around me. And I got really scared. And it was a particular vaccine that I'd had the reaction to. But I thought about it. The first vaccine I actually had was a different vaccine and I didn't have much reaction to it at all. So I decided to change the pictures in my mind, but I also got a little bit of help and requested that I have the one vaccine over the other because I felt more comfortable that I'd had a good experience with that first vaccine. So I told that story for a few reasons, because the framing of what happens in our lives, we can reshape consciously by thinking about the events and choosing to put a different label on them. So even very scary, traumatic events can be reshaped if you're willing to put different labels on them, and then you'll process them differently. It will no longer be this serious trauma that you went through. It will become a learning experience, just as I went through my learning experience when I had Guillain-Barré syndrome. So when I went to get my third vaccine, I told myself that the third vaccine had helped me. It had helped me go out into society, have meaningful relationships, and not be stuck inside the house. The vaccine was actually empowering in this situation. I thought about it quickly and made a decision at the time. And I thought I had a right to be a little bit afraid of the one particular type of vaccine that I'd had a reaction to and became paralyzed by. But I also didn't want a narrative running in my mind that I was afraid of all vaccines for the rest of my life and all needles, because many needles, if you think about it, can be beneficial. They can have medical purposes, they can have Chinese medicine purposes, and so it's not a good thing to be afraid of things that you might actually need. You want to reshape that narrative to accept the things that you need and actually experience joy from them, experience the strength and experience the empowerment that modern medicine does provide. And it's okay to have exceptions and to have your quirks and your personality. I think there needs to be a little bit of room for that, but you can also choose an empowering narrative around modern medicine so you don't make it your enemy. It's a good thing to stay away from medications, I believe, if you don't need them. But there are situations in your life where you do need medication. Sometimes you really do need help, and that's the best that you're going to get is getting a diagnosis from a doctor and they give you a specific medicine to help you with the symptom. And that's perfectly all right. You don't have to be religious about getting rid of all medications and all medicine from your life. It's a good idea to limit them, because the more you allow your natural body to take care of itself, the healthier it will be long term. But there are exceptions, and we all have different genetic makeup and we have different experiences in our body. And so it's okay to accept help. Another story I'll tell you from the hospital was there was a woman there who really didn't like medicine and was pro-organic, would eat everything vegan, didn't accept any hospital food, didn't accept any medications. And you know what was interesting about her was because she wouldn't accept pain medication, she was in so much pain that she couldn't get out of her wheelchair. She ended up being disabled for life. And I believe the reason why is just because she was too stubborn to accept any help. If she'd accepted some help and some medicine and some assistance, she might have been able to walk. But because she had this belief inside her mind that she was anti-medication to an extreme extent, and she wouldn't even accept painkillers when she was in an extremely painful situation, that worked against her. And I like organic food. I like eating healthy and avoiding medicines when it's not necessary. But sometimes it is, and you can be too extreme on the other end in refusing help from doctors. And so you want to have the best of both worlds. You want to eat healthy, you want to let your body do its thing to take care of itself and not be too dependent on medicines and things outside in order to help your body self-regulate. But you do want to accept help for things that do help you. And how you can do that and change your belief system is by changing the labels on a day-to-day basis in your mind. Instead of saying this is going to cause death or this is going to cause me harm because it's a medication coming from outside of my body, you put the label on, actually this medicine is helping me. My medicine's helping me recover and become the best version of myself that modern medicine can allow me to be. And that's a good thing. We were way more limited in our ability as human beings before modern medicine. We really had to struggle and survive and not really have a lot of empathy or compassion for people who were sick because we couldn't allow for that necessarily. Sometimes we had to do whatever we needed to do to survive 45,000, 55,000 years ago and leave people for dead when they were sick or when they were in trouble because we just didn't have the resources or the capacity to assist them. Human beings have come a long way, but it's so interesting how we program ourselves to believe this is right and this is wrong when the truth is somewhere in between. There's a bit of a gray zone in the middle. And what we need to do is assess each situation fresh and apply labels that are appropriate to our situation. And whenever there is help that we need to accept, we have to frame that positively. We have to build our belief systems in a positive way around that help. If we're too negative towards the medical system or towards doctors, then we're missing out on a big resource that society has to provide to us that can help us be healthy and be the best version that we can be of ourselves.